I do a lot of review videos, so I have a lot of gear that comes through, right? It comes in and it goes out. Some of it I really like, some of it is okay, some of it I don't like. But there's one thing that differentiates between a piece of gear that I really, really like, and that could be for a number of different reasons. Maybe it's really good at what it does, maybe it's super functional in a way that I specifically like it. Well, whatever that is, those pieces of gear sometimes stick and end up being part of my daily use equipment, right? That's not a lot of different pieces of gear, but a few of them do. And today I'm going to talk about one of those pieces. So I'm here at my desk, right? Please don't roast my setup too poorly because this is an actual work area. So I don't have like a fancy desk and flowers and plants and all kinds of waterfalls. This is where my work gets done. And everything that's on my channel passes through here. Either it's for QA or I do the editing myself. Now, if the CFO or Drake, the producer, edit, then I just do the QA here. But even on the front end of those, I do a lot of lineup before they actually do the fine editing. But my point is, this is a pure work area. I'm at this desk hours a day, toiling away for you. And the gear that I use at this desk is very important to me. And a piece of equipment that I got in for review has stuck here. And that's the Dayton Audio M series powered bookshelf speakers. And these are the M6s, right? You can see them here and here. And for me, these ended up being a really great addition to my environment. Now, I've had a lot of powered bookshelf speakers come through, but these are the ones that I've chosen to keep on my desk and use every single day. I think I listen to more audio out of these speakers than any other speaker in the house, and that includes home theater and television and sound, anything. These are the ones that get the most mileage. So I wanted to create a video and talk about these and tell you a little bit more about them because I like them a lot, and I think you're going to like them too. So let's talk about the specs a bit, and I've got a handy dandy list here to read from. Now, these come in two different flavors. There's the M6, which you see here, and the M4. The difference is that the M6 has a 6-inch mid-range, and the M4 has a 4-inch mid-range, right? Shocking, right? And they both have a 1-inch silk dome tweeter for the high, so they're all two-way speakers. Now, these are, what's the right way to say it? These are very simple powered bookshelf speakers. So they don't have a lot of crazy technology in them. And what I mean by that is there's no eARC port, there's Bluetooth input, there's RCA input, and there's USB input. And from my perspective, unless you need this in a 2-channel television environment, that's pretty much all you need. And for the most part, I just use the RCA ends on them to make these things function. And it's great. I think this allows them to keep the design simple, lets them focus on the sound, keeps the price lower, which is very important, and it makes it easier on the end user. So if you don't need all those features, why have them? Why spend for them? Just keep it simple, keep it sounding good. And that's what Dayton Audio has done with these speakers. Before we get started, if you're into tech, hi-fi, or movies, be sure to push the subscribe button for new weekly videos. Now let's look at the rear of the speaker. And there's only one plate amp, so the other speaker is completely passive. And the way you connect that is you have output terminals here, which use standard banana plugs, and the cabling for this is included, and that cables over to your other speaker. So the output of the amp is here for your left, or it could be your right speaker. And that's a feature that I like, right? So you have this left-right toggle. So depending on where your PC is, if you're using this in a PC setup, you can place this main speaker closest to your computer so these runs can be a little bit shorter and it's easier to deal with. I had initially set these up and I had this in the left instead of the right position, and man, gaming got a little bit weird because everything was coming from the wrong place. But luckily, you know, there's the switch and it's really easy to deal with. But coming up from the bottom here, you've got a pair button. If you need to pair this for Bluetooth, you've got a USB input here. You've got your subwoofer out, your inputs for your RCAs, again, the amplification for your remote speaker, your power switch, and then your power cord. Very simple, elegant solution, super easy to deal with. One other thing I want to call out while we're here on the back is On the front, you notice that there was no port there. Well, there's no port on the rear or the sides either. So these are sealed speakers. These are not a bass reflex design. Let's talk a little bit about the sound of the speaker. And for me, I use these as monitors. So I want them to have a neutral sound. And from my perspective, that's what I get out of these. These are very, and again, I don't want to use the wrong language. They're not, super bright. They don't have a huge amount of bass, but I think they give you a very balanced tonal quality, right? That lets you listen to what you're trying to hear, and that's what I want. Now, if I went out and spent, I don't know, a huge amount of money on some legit studio monitor speakers, that might give me a better experience. However, I don't know that it makes a lot of sense for me to do that because these speakers really give me what I need in my environment. And, that's everything from editing, checking out audio mixes. I even use this to test new music and that kind of stuff. And all of the background music I bring into my system, and then I audition that through these speakers as well. And I think these give me a really good representation of what other folks are going to hear in their environment. Now, if you're listening on earbuds and that kind of stuff, that'll be different. But for the desktop experience, I really like what these do. The one thing that, and you'll hear me talk about this a lot, is low-end reinforcement. And, there's only so much that a bookshelf speaker can do, no matter what the company does to try and make it better. They can port them, all that kind of stuff, try and give it more low-end extension. I think you still need to add a subwoofer, even in a desktop experience, especially when you're doing editing. And I have done that. So I've got a little Velodyne Micro V underneath the desk. And, it's a little guy like this, but it does give just that right amount of low-end reinforcement to support these guys. Now, the connection for that subwoofer is on the back of the speaker, as you saw, and it's also, again, a very simple setup, right? So it's a crossover 200 hertz and down is sent over to the subs. So there's not a lot of control there. You can dial things in on the back of the subwoofer with the crossover there if you want to. If you want to try and smooth it out a little bit. I've not experienced any issues. So I've got that frequency just jacked up all the way to the back side of the sub and use that 200 hertz crossover built into the speaker. My assumption there is that the designer knows where these are capable and where the subwoofer should roll into these speakers. And for my purposes, it's worked out really well. And the sound from the sub mixed with these guys has been quite good. And I haven't needed to tweak that at all. Now remember, we're not dealing with a $100,000 2-channel kind of dedicated listening area where you're just critical listening, for that. I don't know, right? This just isn't that spot. So for me, not having that additional control didn't really present a problem in this environment. I just want good sound that's really easy and super reliable. That is kind of tonally transparent and non-coloring, and that's what these have brought to the table for me, and I really, really like it. The remote control is understated, I think is the right term. It's really small, and the controls are super simple. There are your input controls here. There's line USB and Bluetooth. You've got volume up and down, a start and stop, and then there's bass boost and mute along with power. And the bass boost feature, it's fine. I would prefer to just add an external sub to these, which I have done. And, these are, I think, designed for that because they do have that sub output. But for folks that, for whatever reason, don't want to add a subwoofer, you can use the bass boost feature. It does increase low-end output, but the output that I get out of the subwoofer, I think, is a little bit better than trying to force these into doing things that probably they ought not be doing. But in a pinch, it does work fine and it sounds okay. I think the sound is better when you supplement, with a huge number of dollars compared to a button, right? So I get it, right? Not everybody can do that. But it's nice that the feature is included. You can see the size of the remote. It's, small, hand size. But I think for speakers of this type and size, this is pretty representative of what you get out on the market. no bonus points. Is, it's plasticky, but for the cost, I think it's just fine for this set of speakers, and it does what it needs to do. And I would hazard to guess that most people won't ever really use it that much, particularly if you use it in this kind of setup. But it's there. Let's talk about use cases now. And there are really three that come to mind. There's the first use case, which is as monitor speakers for desktop setup for computing, right? And you can use these for gaming. They're great for editing, just listening to YouTube, whatever you want. Much better than speakers that you'll find built into your monitor, that kind of thing. Huge upgrade in sound. The second use case is in a dedicated 2-channel listening environment. So these don't have streaming capabilities. So if you wanted to, you could take these and mate with like an Eversolo or another streamer and give yourself really good sound, particularly if you add in, a little 10-inch sub for your music on the sub out on these guys. Really great there. The last option is in a television environment, right? So if you wanted to add these instead of a sound bar. Now, that gets a little squirrely because for that, I would really want this to have an eARC input. This does not have eARC. So I don't really recommend this for television environments. For me, this is much better, this set of speakers, in a 2-channel listening environment and as a desktop set of speakers for a computer. A lot of really high-end set of computer speakers used for folks that really are looking for better sound for editing and that kind of thing. So I want to close a little bit with some price talk, right? So these are $399 for the pair. And, if you want to compare these to other widely well-known powered bookshelf speakers, maybe you're thinking about the KEF LSX2s, which come in at about $1,300. There's a $900 difference there. It's a big chunk of change when you go from this set of speakers to that set of speakers. And really what you're getting, I think, is, the expansion of the technology stack in the speakers. The KEFs, for example, do all the eARC and that kind of stuff. So they are more advanced technically, but that is a lot of scratch that you're putting out to move into that speaker as opposed to this. So if you're thinking about your dollars, this is a really good set of speakers to consider for the money. At $399, you get a heck of a lot of speaker that does hopefully what you want it to. Remember, you got to remember your use case and buy equipment that's right for what you need it to do. And in my experience, for the use case here, these are awesome. Not to say the KEFs can't do this, but they can. But I would see the KEFs more in, as a soundbar replacement for television, because it does have that eARC input on the backside. So when you think about performance per dollar for use case, these went out when compared to the KEF. But if you need television use, then maybe you would want to go on the KEF side and save up your pennies for that. But at $399, I think these are a heck of a deal. You can get them in white or black, and I've been running these for a while now, and I don't want to say how long because this video is super late, and I'm sure the folks over at Dayton Audio are like, "Come on, let's go," But I can honestly say that I've used them for a long time, and they have become daily drivers. And like I said before, I listen to most everything throughout the day on these speakers, and I've been very happy. All right, that's going to bring us to the end. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if these speakers would be something that you'd entertain in your environment down below. Also, there'll be another video that appears down in the little window. Check that one out. I think you'll like it as well. And remember, please like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all those things, and I'll see you in the next video.